Hey guys, it's Mike, your boy Mr. cHoW, coming at you with a video. Excuse me. In this video, we're going to discuss the Seventh-day Baptist Cemetery and my frightening experience that I've had when visiting there one time on a late fall night or evening. You get the point though. So, Seventh-day Baptist Cemetery, it's located on Upson Road in Burlington, Connecticut, for all of those who don't know that. And the cemetery itself actually dates back to the late 18th century, which is pretty cool. It's very historic. Its purpose and its use was used for the burial grounds for the members of the Seventh-day Baptist Church. And it's known to locals as the Green Lady Cemetery, which you'll soon come to find out. My story that I'm about to share with you personally involves the Green Lady at this cemetery, so definitely hits home for me. It's shocking. I'm still shook to this day. But let's get right into this story. And I'm gonna put my glasses back on because I cannot see. That's a dub. Anyways, the specific day that I went, I specifically cannot tell you, but I do know that it was during the fall and probably mid-October, late October. So yeah, and during that season, I decided it was that spooky time of year. So I went over to the Seventh-day Baptist Cemetery in Burlington, Connecticut by myself on my own accord. And I went like late evening, early dusk, if you will. But it was getting close to being fully dark outside. Anyways, though, I hop in my car, I drive over to the cemetery. It was like a 30-40 minute drive from where I lived at the time. And then I got there, and the sun was starting to be going down and setting. So I get there, and I get out of my car, and I start walking up to the cemetery, and I walk into the cemetery, and all of a sudden, I felt this insanely cold spot that came over me. And it came out of nowhere, too, so I was really taken back because it was a nice evening. It wasn't cold out or anything like that. The sun was setting, but it was still pretty warm for a fall day back then. So I was completely caught off guard when I felt an instant cold spot upon stepping literally 1 foot or 2 feet into the cemetery. It felt unwelcoming to say the least, but I pushed on and I walked in further into the cemetery, and that's when things started getting weird eventually. So I started taking pictures of the cemetery, start making a couple videos here and there throughout the cemetery, posting stuff on my Instagram, on my Facebook, Snapchat at the time, and still I got that cold sensation again. That was the second time now that I've felt it in this story, and this time it wasn't quite as cold, but it still made me turn away from whatever I was doing and trying to do in the cemetery back to the fact that I was cold. So it really drew my attention away from what I was focusing on. It was that powerful, that potent of a cold spell. Then I looked over to my right, and from the point where I was at looking to the right, there were a couple trees that would obscure my vision, but I looked beyond the trees, and in the distance, maybe about 100, 200 feet away from me, across the cemetery, I see what looks to be a green apparition that's like hovering above the ground, maybe 2.5 feet high, no more than 2.5 feet high. And it was like misty in texture, it looked like, and then it started to become more of a solid, type deal. It didn't look as see-through or transparent. In any case, then it starts to rise right in front of my own two eyes, and it gains height of about 3 or 4 feet, maybe 4.5 feet. And that's when what I saw became even more realistic. I blinked my eyes a few times to see if I was just imagining things. Literally, I wanted to, definitively be able to say that I saw something, paranormally speaking. Anyways, after blinking my eyes, I confirmed that there is still a greenish apparition that's about 100 to 200 feet away from me. So I was shook. I got a cold spell down my spine. I felt cold out of nowhere again, and I just felt, like I said in the beginning of the video, when I first got there, I felt unwelcomed. And it was really strange, too, because you'd think such peaceful people would be buried underneath the soil, at that cemetery because of the fact it was a Seventh-day Baptist church cemetery for members of the church. So you really wouldn't think there'd be any malice or demonic activity or that type of stuff going on there. You would think it would be a calm burial ground with minimal activity and so on and so forth. But that being said, I recognized what I saw was there and actually in front of me physically. So I knew I was in reality. After feeling the sensation like that cold spot, I started to walk towards the apparition, which still stayed in clear as day in front of me, 100, 200 feet away. So I'm walking, covering ground. Then I get a little closer to the green apparition. I know 100% that this was the Green Lady of the Seventh-day Baptist Church Cemetery. I just know it 100%. After walking closer towards her, though, I realized I say her because they call her the Green Lady. But after walking closer to that green mass, or that green apparition, I paused for a brief second just to kind of look closely at what I'm walking towards. And I saw a bunch of little orb balls that made up the whole entire mass or apparition. But I saw them individually as I got closer. And they were all hovering around each other, buzzing in the air. And it was crazy. I couldn't tell what was reality, what wasn't, because it was just that out of the blue and that realistic. At this point, I realized that this is something paranormal. Obviously, at that point, I start to speak with the entity, and I start saying, can you come close to me? Can you walk towards me since I've been walking towards you? I tried getting the entity to not just move, but to make noises or to make the temperature drop again. All of which some came to prevail. But eventually I stopped after walking closer to the entity, to the apparition. And then all of a sudden, just as quickly as I saw the apparition out of nowhere, the apparition vanished. I blinked my eyes maybe one time, and it was gone. It was just out of there. It blew my mind. I didn't know what to think of that incident whatsoever. And the crazy thing is, I forgot to mention, the apparition that I saw, the closer towards the closer that I went towards it, it was a lot more bodily like I could see it had like remnants or parts like to the body, like arms, hands, legs, feet, your head, your shoulders, knees and toes. All right, we're done here. But you get the point. And I saw that the apparition had like details to it, not that it was just made up in a bunch of micro balls and orbs of light that came together as one. No, but that it was made up of something, completely something else, and actually took on the form of human body parts. It wasn't completely distinctive, but it was there enough for me to know that what I was looking at was body parts, or apparition formed of a body part. Anyways, so out of nowhere, the Green Lady is gone. I can't see her anymore, but that cold sensation came over me like it never had before. All of a sudden I just got cold. Not just like cold on my back like the times before. I got cold throughout my whole body. I had a chill down my spine, and my whole body just felt like it was taken over with this cold spell. And I had no control of no matter how much I shivered or tried to get warm for the brief period of time I was still in the cemetery, it wouldn't happen. I was just cold out of nowhere. And then what was even crazier is I thought I heard conversation in the distance into the cemetery, but I was the only one there, and there was no one in the woods surrounding the cemetery, and so on and so forth. So when I heard those voices, I said, hello, is anyone there? Who's there? And I didn't get a response. I just heard distinct chatter sounded like two people. Really weird stuff, guys. At that point, it was really getting dark out, so I'm about to head back to my car, and as I'm heading back to my car, not the footsteps. We're gonna get to that right now. The voices that I heard became louder and louder, and then all of a sudden to my right, I started to hear footsteps coming from the other side of the cemetery towards me, like rustling through the leaves and stuff like that type of sound. All during this time, I'm walking back to my car, trying to recap and recollect anything that had just happened at the cemetery that was paranormal, and the fact that I was already, after only being at the cemetery for such a brief time, already heading back to my car to depart and to leave from the cemetery, because what I witnessed and experienced was just too much for words to explain. It was just out of this world, otherworldly completely, or to everything. point, I literally start running to my car just to get back as fast as I can. I get in my car, I start it, and I drive home. I've since lost the pictures that I've taken at that cemetery, and my other video of me at that cemetery specifically. I've lost that, unfortunately. But this video should do a sufficient job of explaining the experience. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, drop a like down below. I appreciate y'all. Word of me. And drop a like. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your experience if you've had one at this cemetery with the green lady supposedly haunting. And if you have any proof of the paranormal like I do, and like in my testimony, if you have stuff, make sure you drop a comment down below and let me know your experiences and so on and so forth. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you smash that subscribe button for more content coming out in the near future, ladies and gentlemen. And with all that being said, this concludes this video. Stay on the flip side. You got to get to the flip side, so I'll catch you on the flip side. Word to me. Anyways, as always, ladies and gentlemen, cheers and chow until next time. Peace. Be easy. Catch you on the flip side. Like I said. Peace.